All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your second flip video lesson. You'll be taking some notes at home for me today. These notes will be about the writing process. You've been working on the writing process all through school, so this is a review lesson. I will expect you to have mastery of this lesson and understand it by the time you're done with these notes. You may ask me questions in class tomorrow if you have questions. I love acronyms, so my writing acronym for the writing process is POWER, P-O-W-E-R. In order to complete this lesson, you will need to create a foldable like the one pictured here. You need to take a paper, fold it into 4, label it P-O-W, and then the E and the R go together. You need to pause this video, get this foldable done, and then hit resume when you are ready to go. Writers follow a set of steps as they write. The steps appear to be like in a linear function or fashion. They appear to be strict, but writers will go back and forth between the stages as they complete their work. At least higher level writers will. And as I said before, I've named it POWER because I love acronyms. You do not need to take any notes on this slide. You just need to listen. So just listen and enjoy. Pre-writing is your mental warm-up. It's what you do to get ready to write. You should always think before you write, just like you should always think before you speak. It is gathering ideas to find a topic. Some of your topics might be really fun topics because you're writing a narrative. Some might be research topics, things that you've looked up and you've got ready to go. And sometimes your ideas or your pre-writing might come with finding quotes and information from a book in order to do your writing. This is where you need to write notes. You need to write this in the P section of your notes. This is what happens during pre-writing. You choose a topic or it's assigned to you. You narrow your topic. You do need a focus. We'll talk about that a lot in class. You figure out who your audience is going to be. If I'm going to be your audience, you must write formally. If your friend is going to be your audience, you can use text talk. And you need to determine your purpose. Make sure that these are all written in that P section of your notes. Pause this until you have them written, and then you'll be ready to go on. The next section of your notes is the O for organizing. O stands for organizing. You do not have to write these notes down. You just need to know that you need to organize your ideas so you can present them in an easy to understand manner. And your organization directly depends on what type of writing you are doing. Your organization for a narrative is going to look very different than an expository or informational, which is also going to look very different from a persuasive. These are the notes that you need to write down. This is what happens when you are organizing. You are going to complete an organizer. You might make a web. You might make a century chart. You might make an outline. This year, you're going to be learning how to create your own organizers. I'm not going to hand you an organizer. I'm going to show you, hey, you can do this or you can do this, and you're going to choose how to organize your piece that fits your personality and your writing style the best. Get these notes down, and then you can move on to the next, or hit pause until these notes are down, and then you can unpause it to go on to the next slide. The next step in the writing process is actually writing, because you do have to do that sometimes. You don't have to take notes on the slide. You're getting your ideas down on paper. It is a rough format of your final draft. Now you need to start writing notes. First, you're going to have to find a controlling idea so your paper has coherence. You don't want to jump from thing to thing. You want to stick to your topic. You need to make sure that your writing is organized. That's what you did in your organizational section. So you're going to be using your pre-write to write from. If you're drafting, you should have your pre-write or your organizer out in front of you. You need to elaborate your details. Whereas you might have put bullet points in your pre-write or your organizer, you are now writing complete sentences explaining things clearly. Focus on word choice. Don't use dead words. Use the words that are going to make the most sense. Use an engaging voice. Have a strong hook. Please remember that your voice needs to be appropriate to the type of writing you are doing. Most often in this class, you'll be using a formal voice because this is a formal setting. When you're writing to your friends, you will not be using a formal voice. And in a narrative, you sometimes don't have a formal voice because it's a story. Use your proper sentence structure and vary the length of your sentences. Super important. Otherwise, your writing is going to sound very stilted. Make sure that you have these 6 points written down in your notes. Pause if you need to, and when you're ready, you can move on. The last step is editing and revising. They actually go hand in hand. During this process, you're checking your work for both content and conventions. Just because I like my acronym, we're going to go through the editing part first. Editing. You need to take these notes down. When you are editing, you are polishing the writing by correcting errors in grammar, spelling, and mechanics. And yes, spelling counts when you're turning in a final piece. It's kind of like minor surgery. Your paper's going to look really messy. That's okay. Make sure these notes are written. You're going to check for conventions. You just already wrote these notes, so don't write these again. This is just a review. Sorry, my slides were a little out of order. Revising. This is my favorite part of writing because you can always make your writing better. You're going to correct major errors. You're going to improve the writing's form and content, and it is like major paper surgery. This is where you get to get out that flair and write all over your rough draft. It's going to look really cool when you're done. You don't have to write any of that down. This you need to write down. What happens during revising? You check for word variety. Use a thesaurus. Don't use words you don't understand. It makes your writing look stilted and silly. Vary your sentence length. You should have some short sentences, some long sentences, some compound sentences, some simple sentences. You might not know what those means, but you'll learn them this year. Don't repeat your sentence beginnings. Don't start every sentence with I or the or it. You're going to learn the N2SBWTSW, which means no two sentences begin with the same word in a paragraph. You'll be checking your work for that. You're going to add and make your ideas clearer. You're going to get rid of any unnecessary writing. Sometimes we think we have this great idea and we're writing it in our rough draft and it sounds great, and then you go back and you reread it and you realize it makes no sense at all. That's when you cross it out. Make sure that you have these under your editing and revising box, these notes, and then you can move on. Publishing and presenting, that's when you share your writing. Here's Bob. I don't even know Bob, but Bob is reading your paper. And because you've gone through the writing process, Bob is very happy with your paper. That's it. You are done. Hope you took good notes. I can't wait to see them tomorrow, and ask me if you have any questions.